Oh, yes, we are live on Facebook. Okay, there we go. How about that? So, greetings, Jim Young. What an absolute joy to have you here on the live Facebook interview for the summer camp, the Upswing Summer Camp. And you've been absolutely one of my best fans for the Upswing book. I totally appreciate that. And I'm excited to talk to you today because you have written a number of books, 18 books, and you're working on your latest one. Is that correct?
Yep, I am. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a privilege for me to be here. I mean, after reading your book and being in touch with your soul, so to speak, this is the most natural thing for us to be doing at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning.
Why not, right? Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, let me read a little bit about you for our listeners, and because you are just quite the special, unique person. So Dr. Jim Young is an award-winning spiritual author, poet, and program presenter, a regular contributor on internet radio programs. Youth faithfully follows his inner calling by writing about and leading others from various religious and spiritual traditions to the deeper, life-changing meaning and purpose for them. Jim's writings, presentations, and teachings reframe life's journey from one of separation and the chaos separation engenders across spiritual threshold to oneness, and the inner joy and peace that witness this perspective. Dr. Young is a gifted inspirational speaker who often uses life stories to convey spiritual meaning and inspires others to look within the truth that transcends the superficial. His website is creationspirit.net, and I will be including all of his links when this video after this video is over and goes posted so that you can join Jim and learn more about him. So thank you so much for being here this morning. Yay.
Yay is right.
Yes. So
I have no idea what it took to get here.
Yeah, that's right. We are sitting here live and bright and shiny. So, you and I have kind of exchanged text and messages and emails and love back and forth. And we are really in a state of our human consciousness that's changing rapidly. People are being pressed, I think, to the max to change, looking at their shadow side and looking at their things. And yet there is this human being, this spirit sitting inside of us that is absolutely perfect. And I know you're an expert at talking to that perfection. So let's talk about that. And what do you think about human beings and where we're at in our consciousness at this point?
Well, we're a mess, frankly. Most of us are a mess. I say that even after giving 30 years of my life to going inward to find truth of my being. There's so many distractions, as you know, Tamra. I mean, the world's filled with distraction, one after another. Between cell phones and the social media and so on, we really trap ourselves in the intellect and the emotional bodies rather than taking time to go inward to our spiritual self, our highest level of being. So, yeah, it's a bit of a mess, which is why I'm thrilled to be chatting with you today about the idea about listening. As we labeled the program today, ears to hear but do not hear. That's a scriptural reference of we have ears to hear but do not hear, eyes to see but do not see. And that's because we're trapped in this ego thing, the physical body of hearing with these ears, seeing with these eyes, when in fact it's more about an inner awareness, a resonance with life all about us. And I was blessed years ago to come across a message by the contemplative monk Thomas Keating. He said, silence is the language God speaks. All else is nothing but a bad mistranslation. And it's a wonderful definition because we've been trapped in what everybody has told us life's about, which keeps us from going in here to knowing what life is really about. And so the message today really is to share with people a very simple process. If people will do the work, that is show up every day for 10 minutes, an awful lot of time to give to self-awareness. But if they'll follow it, people that have followed it, their lives have changed dramatically over the years. And I want to share that. with you today. It really is on the basis of listening while deeper meaning seeks our awareness. We don't do that. We just don't give ourselves to that. So, as I told you the other day, when I was writing these books, they came out of nowhere. I couldn't pass a test on any one of them because they came from the inside. They did not come from my intellect. And when I finished the 16th book, giving myself a little break of a few days, not knowing quite what was coming next with writing or with anything else for that matter, I was in the shower one morning and I heard, I don't mean heard with my ears, heard in here. I heard, if you think this exercise of putting out 16 books was about writing and publishing, think again. This was about learning to listen. Well, I about fell in the bathtub, I will tell you, because I thought, whoa, I'd given about 10 years for that process to just move through me and out onto my fingers with this keyboard for words to come out on a screen. And I looked at that and I said, well, okay, if that's the case, if it took 16 books to get me prepared to really listen or to demonstrate that I was listening, I think is a better way of saying that. I looked back and I thought, what is it that got me started? I've always felt that I was intuitive, although I didn't know what to call it way back then. I called it a hunch, a gut feeling, you know, we all have them, women more than men. I think men have deprived themselves of going that direction and they need to get with it, gentlemen, if there are any watching. We really need to get with it because we're way too much up here in our head, way too much in our head, that block of concrete that is hard to do anything with, but parrot what other people have told us to say or do or be. But it's extremely important to go inside. And so here's the process. About 15 years ago, a friend of mine said, you know, there's a program down at the Episcopal Church, and I didn't belong to that church, but it's an Episcopal church, a lay person is giving a program for a couple of weekends in a row on listening prayer. And I thought, well, that's a fascinating idea. My prayers usually are, I just say something out loud and I get an answer. And so that to me is my prayer, and my prayers are always answered because I listen. But at that point, I didn't know how to handle that idea. And so I went to this program, and a marvelous teacher by the name of Jane Wolfe taught it. She was a lay person. At that point, she said, every day, meditate somehow. Either read scripture, meditate, sitting meditation, walking meditation, listen to music that moves you, not stirs you, but moves you deeply inside, soothes your soul, so to speak. So you get in a mood. And that opens up your heart. This is what we're really talking about, is opening up this space, not this space. We need to forget this for a while, open this up. And she said, I want you to, now we're going to do this, and we practiced it. She said, now there are 3 questions I want you to ask yourself. Take your yellow pads, take out a pen, put your pen on the paper, and then ask yourself these questions. The first question, and by the way, I'm slowing this down a little bit, hoping that those who are watching will grab a sheet of paper and a pen and write down the questions. So,
perfect.
And if we need to do that later, Tamara, I don't know how you can put those in the follow-up, but it might be a bad idea.
Okay, perfect.
Or one of the books has the questions in it. But anyhow, the first question is, what Lord are you saying to my heart? Now, you hear the word Lord, for people who don't want to get into religion, that sort of puts you off. So understand that Lord is an abbreviation for law of order. What it means is I want to hear the order for my life coming out of here, law of order, okay? That takes you out of religion now. It gets you into a freaky idea, but bear with me.
Okay.
So you write down, you say, what Lord are you saying to my heart? And you don't think, God forbid, thought should come into this process. You just let the pen write for you as though the pen had the answer in it. It's really tapping into your own deepest spirit, your highest self. I would even say the essence of life. And it will write an answer. Now, you may not get it the first time, and this isn't about getting it right the first time. This is about showing up every day and giving some time to your highest self. And so that's the first question. If you write something, You'll know when to stop. You don't think about it. It'll just stop. And then you give gratitude for it. Thank you for that answer. And then the second question is, how, Lord, am I to respond to this? That's a very specific question. How am I to respond to it? Like me, I don't have my own mind. Well, this is not here. It's here. How do I respond to it means how do I respond lovingly? It's like when somebody asks me what I do, I say I make love all day. They go to the sexual thing, unfortunately, but we're making love here today, Tamra. We've made love with our messages. We make love when we talk to our lover, to our friends, expressing a smile, a joy. It's all making love. So that's what this is about. How do I express myself lovingly from what I am? And then again, the pen will write the answer. You let it happen. Don't think about it. And don't try to correct anything between these. Just let them fly. And then you express gratitude when the second one finishes. And then you have a third question. And the third question is, what, Lord, do you particularly want me to remember? Now, if I had my way, there would only be one answer to that question always. And the answer to that question, if I had my way, would be, I'm perfect and I will remember that. But that's not your answer. That's my answer. Because there's a little thing that I like to do when I check out a grocery store. For example, that people are wonderful around her. They say, "How are you?" with a big smile, like you greeted me today. And I say, "Perfect, just like you." And they say, "Oh no, I'm not perfect." I say, "Oh, did you forget?" And they say, "Forget what?" I say, "Forget that you're perfect." "No, I'm really not perfect." I says, "Well, do you know what happens when you forget you're perfect?" "No, you behave as though you're not." That usually grabs them by the ear. That really flips it for them. And I said, now don't make me come back every day to remind you. But look how simple that process is. If we only remember that we're perfect, that is to get out of our head. The perfection is about listening to what we really are. And I would go as far to say, Tamara, that the only authentic expression of love is being true to ourself, self with a capital S. Being true to ourselves and our expressions of love out into the universe. Otherwise, we're lying to the world every day, all day. So,
yeah, a spiritual teacher of mine said, he kept harping on put yourself first. And it's not that he was saying be selfish. He was talking about the self with the capital S. Can you talk a little bit to that?
Well, sure. Well, the idea of selfish comes from a feeling that we're separate from one another. And we're taught through all the various machinations in this society that you're here to help everybody else before you help yourself. Well, if you're a mess, you're not helping people very well. And so the thing is to clear out your debris. If it's really about unlearning what we've been taught is the right thing to do and living what we know is the right thing to do. So this is the practice of going inward, not using your thinker all the time. Jesus, among other mystics and prophets, said, "Give it no thought." And yet, whoever even heard that expression? It's there right in front of people. Give it no thought. It's listen intuitively. Wait for an aha moment. And ask, for God's sakes, ask yourself the questions. Don't ask everybody else in the universe to solve your issues for you. Ask yourself, give yourself time, and your answers will be there. I guarantee it. But you got to give yourself the time.
So what if people have a difficult time quieting the mind and accessing that? I get the automatic writing. I think that's really a beautiful tool. Is that the best? What are ways that you can recommend to people to get quiet and listen and trust their intuition?
Well, it's really more about focus than quiet. What we hear is heard in quiet. The response we get is heard in quiet, in silence. But it's really about focus. For example, we know we have intuition and we hear the hits that we get. Pay attention to them and obey them. The more you obey it, the more intuitive hits you're going to get. The aha moments, the synchronicities. We say, "Oh, I was wondering about so and so, and lo and behold, I ran into them in the grocery store." Well, that's a pretty strong sign that something is going on. You're contacting life from here. Here's a quick one.
You want to know an easy way to do it? You grocery shop. You grocery shop, right?
Yep.
You take a list with you when you go?
I should.
No. I'm here to try to convince you don't.
Okay.
Don't. Because here's what
Okay.
happens. You take a list.
Intuitive grocery shopping? Okay.
Huh? Exactly right. Exactly right. And I tell you what, if you do it for 4 or 5 times, you will be amazed at how your life begins to shift. Let me take you through it. Okay. You go in the grocery store, you say, well, I make a list. I need milk, I need eggs, I need bacon, I need whatever. That's this process. Okay. Remember, this is to get out of here and to practice intuiting. So you get in the car, you say, holy crap, I'm going to go and practice intuitive grocery shopping. And you say, this guy Young is a nutcase, but I'm going to try it just to see if I can. And you go and you get a cart. You don't know whether you want to take a small cart or a large cart. Protect yourself, take a large cart. And you just start down past the produce aisles, right? And you just pay attention. You don't think, oh, I need lettuce or I need for salad fixings. You just listen. And lo and behold, as you go past the produce, certain things are going to gain your attention. Don't think about it. Pick up that sucker and put it in your basket. Another thing will gain your attention. Maybe you picked up a certain kind of lettuce with some radishes. I never eat radishes, but radishes jump into your basket. You put them in there. Don't say no. It's trusting intuition. You go down past now the dairy thing. You say, gee, I want to be off dairy, but a new Greek yogurt strikes your fancy from here. It jumps into your basket. And you've got that. Then you go past the fish and meat counters, and the same thing happens. You know, it's no different, really, Tamra, than being in a bookstore, and you've been wondering about a certain topic, and the book jumps right off the shelf into your hand, right? We've all had that experience. We open it and we say, this is exactly what I was looking for, right?
Yeah.
And so it's that same process. So practice that every time. Now, the real fun starts when you get it home. Because you didn't use a list, an intellectual thing, I want or I need. It's intuitive. You put it out on the counter and you say, holy crap, what am I going to do with this? What an unusual mixture of stuff. And now you say, am I going to go to a cookbook or am I going to intuit what I'm going to do with it? So if you practice intuition there as well, you say, well, let's see, I've never tried radishes on a salad. I'll slice up some radishes and then, for some reason, I think I need to put a poached egg on that salad. I think I'll do that and sprinkle it with a little bit of this dill, which I don't usually use, but it really sounds like a wonderful thing. And you've got a salad you never would have eaten before. And you eat, well, oh my gosh. You say, well, I'm not, you sort of say, I don't think I'm really going to like this, but I'll try just because that character told me I should. And you taste it and you say, oh my God, this really tastes good. And that's the start. That's the hook in the jaw that gets you going. And it's a wonderful practice, and it does work. Believe me.
So you're not expecting outcomes or expecting anything. You're not planning.
Never any expectations.
You're trusting your intuition.
Yeah.
You're following whatever without any judgment of what's going on.
No judgment.
And then you're going with the flow of what it is that you brought home in your grocery bags, and exploring, which expands your horizons. Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Well, now that is listening. Okay. Now it's the same thing in relationships. Instead of when there's a disagreement, you feel the need to defend your viewpoint. My view on that is truth needs no defense. But instead of doing that, you're listening here. You're not listening to the other person, except you're listening here, and the other person starts to defend themselves and they get angry. And you say, okay, what is this about? You just ask, give it time, don't respond, give it time. You trust your intuition, and intuition says, well, she's only angry because she doesn't think she's being heard. Why don't you try listening for a change? And your intuition has solved that thing. And you say, gee, sorry, honey, I wasn't paying attention. I was interested in the answer I was going to give you rather than listening to you. Would you say that again, please? Think about that. I mean, I feel goosebumps just thinking about that kind of making love, if you will, in a relationship. It's honoring the dignity of all, and mostly honoring your own dignity, because this is the real you. We think we're so small, so tiny. We're afraid of the immensity of our being, absolutely scared, skinny about it. So
yeah, let's go over it. We're at about 20 minutes, so I just wanted to say if there's some things you want to get in, let's make sure we get those in before we conclude our time. We could do this for hours. I know you and I could. So in that environment of the being afraid of the immensity of who we are, I'm fascinated by that. You know, the Nelson Mandela, Marianne Williamson quote about being afraid of your light. What do you have to say to that?
Well, we're taught that we're small from the beginning. I mean, and that comes about by when we're a child, for example. It comes about by all the things that are said and all of the facial expressions and posture that people face us with, that we take erroneously seriously. Well, people have a need to make a face or say something. That's their need. It's not about us. But we don't learn that. Who teaches that? And what happens is we're taught that we're not smart enough. We're not quick enough. We're not a good enough athlete. We're not a good enough cook, a good enough lover. That shrinks our soul. And we take that in as though it's the actual truth, rather than examining from in here what we're really about. Mm-hmm. The immensity of being comes about by honoring yourself. To be or not to be, not to do or not to do. To do is intellectual and ego thing. To be is here. I listen, I follow, and you feel your expansive self growing and growing and growing immensely. But we're told in so many ways, if you're good enough, you may get to heaven. If you come to me in church, I will tell you how to heal yourself. No way, Jose. It doesn't work that way. Healing comes from here.
Healing comes from within.
That's
absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. By the way, I want to commend you. I love your book, by the way. I could lick the pages of this book. It's so good. But as you know, you send out little intuitive messages when somebody buys a book directly from you. And I want to commend you for hitting the nail on the head. It's as though you were in your immense self, your immense being, when you did this, because you foretold the topic of today's conversation without even knowing it. We hadn't even talked about doing a show together. Here's what you wrote. There are those of action and there are those of non-action. It is you who has learned to trust the art of non-action. This one knowing alone has put you in the flow. And then from your book, the affirmation about the art of non-action is, I trust the stillness. I trust the flow of life. And I would only add one word, the natural flow of life is here. I trust this. Forget this. I trust this. And then the more exquisitely and delightfully you can do nothing, the higher your life's achievement. That came from Elizabeth Gilbert. But I thank you for this. And folks, if you haven't bought this book, you better order one quick. And by the way, if you want the 3 questions that I spoke about, this book is called The 3 Questions. Gee, what a title. Can you imagine? A simple process for spiritual fulfillment. It leads you from where you are now, and it's only, I don't know, 50, 60 pages, through the 3 questions in a way that positions you in a way to be receptive and open to your inner self. And if you have difficulty, if you don't think that you're going to write something or you're not getting anything, if I may take a moment and just read a poem, they can serve as a guidepost, if you will. And I think I'm sure it's in that book that I just showed you. It's called Life. Come, sit with me. Let yourself simply be. Plunge, if you will, to the depths of your grief. Loosen the slip knot on your weary body and ravaged soul, freeing your burdens, your anger, your pain, whatever it is that discomforts you, whatever it is you feel. Come, sit with me, open to the joy that is you, letting laughter's release unfold your truth. Allow yourself to bask in my love for you, healing your mind, your body, your soul. Bathe in the light of transformation, knowing that all you have to be is you, that I'm always here for you. Come, sit with me. Travel with me through the universe, being open in your tranquility, mindless in your solitude, resting your thoughts and feelings here beside me, and you will come to know, yet again, that we are one. Come, sit with me, no matter what the condition or circumstance, no matter what our past. It is safe now. An eternal relationship, the fullness of presence is all that matters. These intimate moments become our truth, authentic love, our bond. That came out of the heart space. You okay?
I'm trying not to cry on screen. That's gorgeous. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, Jim, you are such an absolute gift to this planet. I just love having our paths cross in this amazing place.
Oh, I feel privileged.
Now you have 18 books, and we've talked a little bit about that. This one, Perfect As You Are, Perfect Just Like You. Sorry, Perfect Just Like You, Jim Young. And you have other books, and you have one that you would recommend to everyone if they want to step on the path in a more dedicated way.
Yeah,
what do you have?
If you want to find out how you got where you are, and most of us never think about that. We just think, oh God, I feel lousy, but we don't think about how we got there. This book called Aware in a World Asleep. By the way, my youngest son designed this cover. I love it with these creatures all upside down. Only one has his eyes open. The rest are asleep. But Aware in a World of Sleep will take you moment by moment from where you are, how you got there, and to try to help you understand, you don't have to get rid of all of that. You just got to go to a different place. You could spend the rest of your life in a psychologist, the rest of your life, an hour a day, the rest of your life, and you couldn't clean out all that rubbish. You don't need to clean it out. You just got to go to a different place. Get out of here, go to here. And this will take you there. Thank you for that.
Yes, you are so welcome. And it's so interesting that, I know when you and I touched base first, I'm a brand new writer, and I'd written something that scared me a lot because I realized that now I have to also make sure I'm following the 80 practices. And I have to say I had a little bit of a scratching my head, like, what'd you do that for?
Well, it is a scary feeling, and that's what keeps most of us from looking for the inward, what I call the inward way. We think we're going to see something dark that'll destroy us. No, you're going to find that your innate state of being is enlightenment. You're already enlightened. You just cover it up with a whole big pile of crap. Excuse my language.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just cutting right through it. You just got to give yourself a dedicated time every day. 10, 15 minutes is all it takes. Sort of warm up your heart with a walk or whatever, a hug from your sweetheart, a good breakfast, whatever it is, music. And then do these 3 questions every day. Just stay at it, and you'll be so amazed. And if you ever get an answer that deals with your ego, like your sense that you want to buy a new car, you need some help in which one. If it says buy a Buick, you know you're in the wrong place. Okay. What it may say is trust your intuition. So you go around, and whatever car sings to your heart is the one you want to buy. Not from here, from here.
Yeah.
And it's all about coming from there.
I think we could, again, talk for hours. I think it's so interesting that this is our birthright. What you're talking about is so who we are, yet it's challenging for a lot of people to actually trust that voice and listen. And when we do that, it's so easy. Life gets so easy. Yet you can bump up against not doing it every day. So I love that you've told people of the practice, and that it is a practice. It is you're perfect inside, and it also takes practice to set aside the human mind and the ego that wants to do things a completely different way.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it.
That's all we've been told is to follow the ego's way. Everybody says, ask me, I'll give you the answers. The worst parenting I've ever seen is when a parent answers every question for their child, rather than saying, honey, you already know the answer to that question. Well, no, mommy or daddy, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I said, no, you know the answer to that question. Just let's be peaceful here for a minute and ask yourself the question. When you get the answer, tell me what you got as an answer. Invariably, within seconds, they have the answer. That's the greatest gift you can give to your child. I didn't do it early on, and now I make my 5 children upset with me every time I say, you already have the answer. They say, Dad, I'm asking you. I say, you're not going to get it. If you want an answer from me, all I'm going to tell you is look inside.
Look inside.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're going to invite everyone to look inside and elevate their knowingness of who they really are. And I have so enjoyed having you today on this show, and I will want to do it again. So let's keep that in mind. We got the technology worked out now.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Well, we'll know if anybody has seen this successfully. Yes.
That's right. So for those of you who are listening to this, Jim's website is creationspirit.net, and I will include his Facebook links and his YouTube link also, so that you can jump on board and follow his incredible wisdom. And what's the name of, can you announce your next book coming out?
Yeah, the next book, by the way, titles, that's how I start writing a book. A title comes in and then I say, oh, you want me to write something on that? Yeah, right. And then I start listening. This one is called Sip and Savor. Sip and Savor.
Mm-hmm. And that is the prologue that you sent me, yes? Yeah. That looks fascinating. I'm going to leave that as a little bit of a mystery, maybe for our next interview.
Oh, good. That'd be fun.
Okay.
Because it'll naturally follow up on this process.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel privileged.
Yes, thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom and going through all the setup that we went through. It was great. And we did it. Spirit has a way of just making it work out right in the last second.
It did. As a matter of fact, at 8:58, my time, Spirit said, okay, you guys, I played with you long enough. Now let's go.
All right, let's see if we tipped you over. Yeah. All right. I love you so much, Jim Young.
Love you, Tamra. Love you. Take care.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.